When I look at the political landscape and the economic landscape of the world, I really have a difficult time accepting that this is what life should be.
They had so many concerns about education, technology, agriculture, Barbuda, health, the environment. You will be so surprised as to what they are engaged in.
If we can do that, we can walk on that path, we will find a lot of solutions, we'll find a lot of adventures, we'll find a lot of answers.
We need to foster that entrepreneurial spirit.
No judgment, no negativity, all good vibes and conversations.
All this and more right here on Grassroots Radio.
My name is Charles Edwards. I am a software engineer. I specialize in mobile development, as in mobile apps, but I am well-rounded. I can do web, I can do desktop software, I can do, you name it, I can do it. I am 31.
And you mentioned in your bio that technology and engineering is something that's been a part of your life for a long time and that you come to via your dad. Who's your dad and what kind of work does he do and how did that influence you?
My dad was Charles Auckland Edwards, Charles Sr. Mm-hmm. He recently died in January, actually.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Thank you. He was an electrical engineer at Cable Wireless for a number of years. So engineering, or his field of engineering is very, it challenges you to be curious, to be very hands-on, to want to experiment a lot. And I guess I got that from him. Because at a very early age, I want to say maybe around 5 years old. As early as that, when I was able to understand and play video games, I kind of knew one day I'd want to be creating video games. That's kind of where the passion started.
Right. And once you kind of discovered that passion within yourself, what was the first kind of thing that you started dabbling with?
Oh, okay. So this was, well, fast forward a few years, let's say around 1999, the summer before starting secondary school. I kind of just taught myself my first programming language, which was HTML. Well, it's not considered an actual programming language, but it was the first language I learned, and I'm self-taught. And that was just to create websites and so on and so forth. That was probably maybe 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm. So now you know a lot of programming languages, like you have listed here Pascal, Java, Swift, C++. I remember from back in the day too, that's kind of an older one. Python and Java.
Yes, correct.
Are you using all of these in your work all the time, or do you find that you're more focused on one or the other?
On a day-to-day, I probably use a lot of JavaScript because I teach now as well. I teach with the Ministry of Information.
Okay.
So I teach web development. So on a day-to-day, I use HTML, JavaScript. But when I'm doing projects, mobile development, I use a lot of Swift for iOS and Java for Android.
Mm-hmm. So the teaching seems to be something that's really important to you, to be able to share this knowledge with others. Why is that something that you're focused on?
I just think the future is with technology, and it's a skill that everyone should have. I think it's essential in this day and age. That's kind of where that belief came from. Also, I lived in the US for quite a while, so I've seen firsthand that everything is technology. That's the direction the world is actually going in. It's a reality now.
Very true.
Yes.
So what age of, people are you actually teaching?
Okay, so I teach with the what's called the GATE initiative. It's the Government Assisted Technology Endeavor. Mm-hmm. And the age range, it's mostly kids out of high school. It's like an alternative to state college and adults. So the age ranges from, let's say, 17. And I had one student as old as 30 as well. So it's not limited to just fresh out of high school students, but anyone could really apply and come and learn a skill. But yes, from 17 to 30 was my last class.
And are you enjoying that kind of experience?
At times, when I get students who are responsive to the content, then yes. But
Right.
a lot of them, well, not a lot, but a few of them are not. You know, how can I put this? They're not too enthused, but ones who are, I enjoy teaching them.
Right. I guess it can be a little bit daunting if you're not already kind of a computer super literate kind of person to get into this.
Exactly, yes.
What are some of the techniques as a teacher that you would use to kind of pull those students in who might have a little bit of hesitancy about this?
I try to do real world projects, real world situations. Well, whenever I'm doing projects, I try to kind of relate it to something they would see every day. So I could probably build out like a website that sells donuts or some type of product, something that they'd be interested in. I usually ask like, what's their hobby or what are they into, and then ask them to create a website, so with that theme. So it would be like sports cars, weaves, eyelashes, whatever they're into. So that's kind of the technique I use, and they kind of respond well to that. Putting things together that they're actually interested in. That kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and have you had any students kind of go on to build their own actual products after taking your class?
Yes. So a final project for them is to create a website on their own with all of the different techniques they've learned in the duration of the class. So, before I get to that, it's a 6-month project. It's like an accelerated program.
Okay, yeah.
So they don't really have that much time to learn too many things, but the little that they do know, I have them put it in practice.
Good, trial by fire, basically.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you are also behind the creation of Pocket Antigua. Is this something that you're doing on your own, or do you have partners in that venture?
That is a team effort for Leotech, myself and my 2 business partners. But I am the only techie guy. So so bulk of everything falls on me.
Right, so you built it.
Yeah. From scratch, the back end, the front end, everything was done.
And so your partners are helping with like the promotion of it?
Yeah, promotion, marketing, finance, that type of, those are the aspects of, running a business. That's where they come into play.
Okay.
So shout out to Brent O'Keefe and Levon Lewis. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of was the idea behind Pocket Antigua? Like, what was the genesis of that particular product?
Okay. So, as I mentioned before, I lived in the US, and I lived in DC. And one summer I was over in New York where Brent lived, and we were just hanging out, chilling. And the question came up, are you going home for summer?
Right. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. And he asks, I'm not sure, when is White Fest? And none of us knew. And that's kind of how the idea spawned. Like, there should be some like location where all this type of information is just central, where you can just go and like find out what date this is, what date that is, where this is, where that, So it eventually started off as like an events kind of thing.
Okay.
And I want to say like 2 years after the ticketing app came out, so we kind of shifted focus to business places, how to find them, directions, so on and so forth.
That's really cool. Good. So in total, how long has Pocket Antigua, from kind of when you first started programming it to today, how long has it been in existence?
I began programming it in August of 2016. That's when I began, and I launched June 2017.
Okay, so
roughly two and a half years. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty quick. And it is a very popular app now. So in not a lot of time, you've really taken off with that.
Yeah. Most of the people that I have interacted with about it, they're excited about it. They've like, Antigua really needs this. So I guess that's how popularity grew. It word of mouth, and also I think it's a pretty decent app.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, it's pretty well built. The person kind of knew what they were doing, I believe.
The person, yourself. Well, you're very well trained, so we would expect that you know what you're doing.
Yes.
You also got it in your family, so double up.
That is true. Yes. One of the things I always try to enforce in my students is to know your stuff. It's very important that you know your SH1T. Mm-hmm. It's very important. Especially in technology, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know things inside out. I'm a purist, so that's the way I teach.
Mm-hmm. It's one thing to be like, out there saying that I can do this or I can do that, and then quite another thing to have to put your name and your reputation behind an actual product that's out there in the market that people can interact with for themselves. And that's really where the proof is.
Yes.
Not so much, having the particular credentials or whatever under your belt. It's what can you do with this, and is it going to work?
Exactly.
So another thing that you have on your bio here that's very interesting is the robotics club. This is something that you participated in when you were doing your degree in computer science.
Yeah, I was a member of the robotics club in university. It was essentially a bunch of nerds just gathering around, working on a bunch of different projects and speaking about comic book movies from time to time. Yeah.
Did you build any robots there?
Well, build, no, but we had a few that we tampered with and dabbled with. One of our professors, when she was doing her PhD, one of her projects, she asked a few of us to assist her with it. It was... those Roombas that clean the floors?
Yeah.
It was essentially a robot like that, but it was equipped with sonar.
Oh.
And the idea behind of it was in the event that there's, some type of, natural disaster and buildings collapse and so on, and you need to find people, you could put a bunch of these robots, have them, use sonar and kind of map out the room so you know where the debris is, where people may be, so on and so forth, and they would all connect and communicate with each other while they map out, the rooms. So that was built using, I think C, the original C language, software for that. So that's one of the projects we worked on.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and this was I want to say 2012. Before before drones and all these things were really that popular.
Were there any drones on the market in 2012?
Yes, there was. There was one called a Parrot drone. We actually had one. It wasn't anything too fancy. You could just fly around and we control it with the iPad. But yeah, this was back when the market was still new for drones and so on. Another interesting idea we had. One day we were brainstorming and came up with this idea about having a cupboard with some RFIDs on it, and as you put things into the cupboard, you scan them in and then scan them out as you take them out. And if you're running low on something, the cupboard would send you an email or a text or whatever. And again, this is back in 2012, and a few years later, there are smart fridges that do the exact same thing. So, if we had just, worked on some of these ideas, we probably would have been millionaires by now.
Very true, but I'm sure you have a lot more $1 million ideas in your head.
I'll take that.
Okay. Tell me about this one-day accelerated programming bootcamp that you've been doing for Android development in Antigua. So kind of who's the market for that, and what gave you this idea, and what kind of comes out of such an intensive program?
Okay. That was actually okay. So before I even start, there's this organization in Antigua called Silicon Dadley. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I've heard of them. I know Andrew Domet. We worked together in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sven is I think the current president, and Ashton is the chairperson. I don't know if you know Sven James and Ashton Phil.
Yeah, I think I went to State College with him.
Okay. Oh, hey, what year were you at State College?
I graduated State College in 2005, technically, and then I did an extra year, 2006.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was there from 04 to 06.
Okay,
small world. Okay, so Sven and Ashton, they organized a little like 1-day training program to just show, it wasn't really training, but to just showcase how Android apps are built. It was like maybe a 4 to 5 hour thing. It was like really quickly, just showing, people who are already familiar with programming, how, to build Android apps from scratch. It wasn't, I'm not sure what the outcome was supposed to be, if it was like to be a continuous thing, but it was just 1 day, it was just testing it out.
okay.
Yeah.
It seems to me like one of the outcomes could be just getting more people interested in doing this kind of thing, especially since it seems like one of your aims in particular is, in talking about bringing Antigua into the digital age, is just letting people know that this is an option for them and having more people get interested in this kind of work and start creating their own products and apps and things to make their lives better.
Just to pique interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we never really attempted another one. I guess one of these days I could, sit to those guys and, see if they want to move forward again with that. But they're probably busy with ticketing at the moment, because those are the guys behind ticketing, by the way.
Okay, so it's the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. They're colleagues of mine, so.
Very cool. I like that, all you guys are very well networked together.
Yeah. Instead of competing, it's better to just work together.
Yeah. And I mean, you're still going to have a little bit of competition within that, but you can compete and collaborate, on different things. So let's talk about Antigua in a broader sense, because you're someone who's very future facing, very future minded. And sometimes it seems like Antiguans or the culture generally can be a little resistant to that, or it can be a little, people like doing things a certain way, and they don't always like having that disrupted. So I guess, what are some of your big ideas for improving Antigua with technology? And maybe, if you could, what are some of the barriers that you're facing towards making those things real?
So with teaching, I plan to, I have a company already. So with teaching, I was hoping to, kind of do some farming. The more prominent students or the more skillful students, I could probably take them under my wing, hire them, have them work on actual projects, whether it's websites or, other types of software.
Right.
Issues faced. I don't know if you know, or you probably do, but the Antiguan mindset is one that foreign is always better.
Foreign is always better. Yeah.
They tend to put more faith in the foreigner than their own. I really don't know why. I've seen this a lot, especially with government and websites that they want created. They tend to outsource it to some, Caucasian male. It's usually the case. The case. Not to sound racist, but that's usually the case.
Yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah, when they're, more than capable young people right here who would do it for, a fraction of the cost they'd have to pay the overseas person. So that's one of the hindrances I've faced firsthand. And it's one of the reasons why I started my company, to kind of show that, hey, there are people here who can do the same exact thing, probably even better than who you're paying these, large sums of money to for mediocre work, and then at the end of the day, 2 years down the line, you need updates done, and you can't contact these people anymore. You can't find them. You don't know how to do it yourself. Yeah. There was rumor of this, website that the tourism paid, what was it, a few $1 million for? I don't know if you ever heard of that story. I don't know how true it is.
Okay.
But that was the word around town.
Allegedly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, allegedly. And if you look at the website, it was at the time just a simple WordPress website.
For millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly, which is crazy.
It's totally crazy.
Yeah, somebody could have done that, from scratch, no WordPress involved, and probably charge you maybe $15,000, if that much.
And is it the same website that they use today?
No, I think they had to redo it. Yeah.
Honestly, as somebody living outside of Antigua and trying to find information about Antigua, like I can tell you, the websites that I encounter there are often not the best. Just recently, I need to renew my passport. So I was looking for the Antiguan consulate in Canada. And they have like no information on the site really about what the process is, which I can imagine that's one of the most common things that they do, right? Is renew passports for Antiguans living abroad. And yet there's no information on the site about that. This website is basically just here to give you a phone number so you have to call somebody. And then when I contrast that with, the Canadian government's website, which is also not great, but you can at least get a list of documents that you're going to need. Certain things you can actually file your application online. Instead, I had to call somebody to ask them what I need. And then I'm going to have to take all my documents down to the other side of the city. All of that, when it could have just been streamlined. Like, why do you have this site if it doesn't do any functions? Like, none.
If you don't mind me asking, how did the website look to you? The Antigua one.
The Antigua consulate? It looks like it's from in like 1998 or something, right? It's very, very basic.
Okay.
It looks like a basic HTML only website. There's nothing modern or new or even branded about it. It looks very generic to me.
Nothing eye-catching.
No, nothing at all.
Okay.
And again, just very devoid of information.
Well, hopefully, one day all that will change. I don't know.
Well, I hope
fingers
you have
crossed.
a hand to play in that.
I hope so too. Keep my fingers crossed. But again, we need to show them that technology is the way, and all these things really should be improved and updated, kept up to date.
What other kind of things do you have in the works? What's next for you? What's next for Pocket Antigua?
For Pocket Antigua, we've been approached by a few other islands to, do some expansion.
Okay.
That has, come about a lot sooner than anticipated. Like we always plan to branch out, have a Pocket Jamaica, Trinidad, whatever the case is, but we just didn't anticipate it this soon. So I guess that means, the other islands are seeing the product and they're really liking it. But I don't know, maybe the next 4 to 5 years we'll begin looking towards that. And if that's too long to wait, But we want to kind of perfect it in Antigua first before we really branch out. Yeah. A few copycats have popped up, so we just want to catch them off guard. While they're following us, we're going to just come with a brand new thing, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, why did we think of that?
Because you're copycats, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's that, and I have a few smaller projects I'm working on. And if you're familiar with Project Sync, so they recently got in contact with me about creating, it's a simple way to input their customers into like a database that would be available offline. So I've just been building that out for them. I'm actually supposed to go meet with them later today, to like show them how it's coming and try to integrate the existing database into it. So as soon as I get off this call, I'm probably going to head down there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Busy entrepreneur on the go.
Yeah, I need more hours in the day, actually. Probably went to sleep like after 5 this morning.
After 5?
Yeah, and I was up by 8.
How are you doing that? Like what kind of, like how often do you do that?
Oh, okay. Believe it or not, that is the trend for me. Especially, 2 years ago when I was working on Pocket, I was sleeping probably maybe 6 hours in a week. An entire week, I was sleeping for about 6 hours.
In an entire week?
Like an entire week, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that went on for roughly, a few months. I was a zombie by the end of it.
But a very productive zombie, clearly.
I guess.
So what are you doing, like, to kind of maintain yourself while you're working these kind of crazy schedules?
I don't know. I just kind of have a passion for programming, so I kind of just enjoy it. I don't even notice the hours are flying by.
That's pretty beautiful. You're in like your zone, right?
Yeah. Brent would often say I'm a machine.
You sound a little bit like a machine.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like shut down for a little while, reboot, up again.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give to a young person who is curious about this kind of work, not really sure where to start? What would be the first step that you would advise that person to take?
Okay, a young person, like if you're fresh out of high school, I would recommend looking into GATE. That's the initiative put on by the Ministry of Information. Mm-hmm. The courses offered there are Cisco, Microsoft, and, programming and new media. New media essentially is photography, graphic design, videography, and, starting your own vlogs, like a YouTube channel, that type of stuff. That's what they're trying to focus on. Cisco is networking, and at the end of the course, you could actually take the test to get certified.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the Cisco and the Microsoft, there's the certification options at the end of the course. Take the exams and get certified by Microsoft or Cisco themselves. So yeah, that would be my advice to young people. If when I was 18 or 17 or whatever, somebody told me that, there would be a developer teaching you how to program, and you actually get a stipend, I would have been all over that. I would have absolutely been all over that. So whoever is listening, that's my recommendation to you guys. Check out the GATE initiative run by the Ministry of Information. Yeah, Minister Nicholas is doing a good job with that, I think.
Is there a cost associated with that?
No, you get a stipend for coming.
Oh,
students
so
get a stipend.
Get paid.
Yes.
So guys, if you want to get paid to learn programming or new media or any of that great stuff, network systems, I think you also mentioned, check out the GATE.
Yeah, Cisco and Microsoft. So it teaches you the entire Microsoft suite. I think the entire Office 365 suite of apps.
Right.
Yeah, they teach you all of that. So at the end of it, you could go into a business with a really colorful resume. Mm-hmm. You could actually brag that, you can do this on Excel, you can do that on Excel, and actually mean it. So
where can someone find you online? You personally, or Pocket Antigua, or any other things that you're working on?
Me personally, boy, my Twitter is a mess.
Everybody's Twitter is a mess. Let's just.
Yeah. Well, you could follow Pocket Antigua at Pocket Antigua, one word, on all the different social platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. That's at Pocket Antigua, one word. And me personally, if you need to get in contact with me, you could email me at charles@pocketantigua.co. Also, the website is pocketantigua.co.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a total pleasure talking to you.
It has. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Grassroots Radio. If you enjoyed the conversation, show some love and help spread the word. You can do that by subscribing on Apple, Google, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Already subscribed? Consider leaving a 5-star review. It helps other people find the show. If you have an idea for someone you want to see featured or a topic you want us to cover, let us know. DM us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at grassrootsanu or email us at thenewgrassroots@gmail.com. For more about NGR, visit us at thenewgrassroots.com. Until next time, this is Grassroots Radio.